against Obi Martin or make banter posts. You
They're
know what? People are
they're
gonna ban.
17 years of age, 18. Nah, that's one thing I respect about you, gal. You don't do that. That's something I find very weird with football. I understand this tribal and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're just young players giving out their dreams. Now they could have moved to United and it doesn't work out. They might not necessarily guarantee to make it at United, but they're closer to realizing their dream than there was at Arsenal. And that's not an Arsenal United thing. That's just the reality of being a footballer. You've got to do what you've got to do to get to where you get to. You mentioned Mika Beref. I agree in that. I don't think he's bagging all of those goals. It's one thing doing it now. You've got to go do it for years. I think we could have held on to him and made some money. But at the end of the day, the point is these young players got to go and seize their future. You go back 10, 20 years ago, you wouldn't see Heaven or Obi Martin leave Arsenal for United, even if they wanted to. I like the fact that these young players, even going back to Sancho and them guys, they're fearless. If you fail, at least you tried, didn't it? Rather than what if? Because the alternative is you just stay at the club.
We made 4 million off him. It's not
Yeah,
bad.
no, at the time, Studgrass it was a club record buy for them. I just wish, because I said it in the summer, I think he would have been one. And this is that without me knowing anything. This is me. He is one for me. I'd have extended his contract, loaned him out again. So if he had a season like this, I'm not even saying to bring him back. You know where I'm going with it. There's money to be made, but that's not even a better thing. I just think as a club, we need to do that a lot more because it's nice to see the players coming through. But I do think we need to make a lot more of our Haaland talents. But we're digressing. Go on with what you're saying with Obi Martin and
Bro,
Heaven.
talking about sales, if we get a big offer for a player, would you sell any of our players?
Slow down, bro. I've got you covered. We're gonna get into that. Slow down, Egal, bro. We're gonna
I'm
get
going too
into that.
fast. My
I've
bad,
got
my bad.
I've got some not unpopular things to ask you, but I want to play a bit of devil's advocate, especially kind of when we start speaking about Chelsea. Do you agree with this? Arteta has to win a trophy next season, in my opinion, just as Arne Slot ain't a better manager than Klopp. But after 5-6 years, players have heard it all from a man. You need different ideas. I must admit, I'm conflicted with that because I do think the players are still with Arteta, and I think there should be question marks. But naturally, I do think they're right. Sometimes you might need a different voice or another way of going about things. But you're the man. You're the main man here. How do you feel about that? I think. Are you muted?
No.
Oh,
I'm just thinking. I'm like, which
no.
it
I saw
depends
your
what
mouth
room
moving
you're
and
in.
there was no talking. I was getting scared. As is their
I
connection
think what
problems?
room are you in? Because depending on which room you're in, you're gonna say to yourself, Klopp built the team. Klopp left Slot in a really good situation, and he just needed to come in and make a couple tweaks. Now, if you say Arteta is gonna leave Arsenal in a really good situation, and someone else can come in and do a little tweaks and get us to win, fair. But at this moment in time, I don't think Arteta needs to leave because I
We
don't
never
think
saw Mika
he's
Berth in an Arsenal shirt. But go on, Jay's being a bit dishonest
yeah.
with that. But go on.
I don't think I don't think Arteta needs to leave because Arteta he does need to deliver, and I would say next season is the cutoff. And the only
Let's
reason
delve
why
into that. Go on.
and the only reason why I would say that is because whatever happens this summer, I feel like they know is do or die to a sense of like we need to start showing some return on investment
I
as
was like last year, man.
it's getting really close to the point where some of our guys like William Saliba is getting a lot of pressure from one of the biggest clubs, and we need to start delivering to tell these guys to stay, encourage these players to stay. And for how long can we tell players, you know what, come to our club, we're gonna get there, we're gonna get over the line, you can become a club legend. Eventually it gets to a point where it's like, well, you already have one of the best squads in the league. You already have one of the best this. You're only missing an attacker. But if we then go and prove that attack and the midfield is weak, we have a problem. So they need to get the midfield and the attack right, which is making me which, you know what, Deluded? I'm confident about next season because I'm hearing the right things.
What are you?
Hopefully,
Let's slow down and delve into that. What are you confident about next season, and what are you hearing to give you that confidence?
one, the Zubamendi links, the Bruno G links, the links to Arsenal wanting to go and get a left winger in Nico Williams.
But they ain't
Trying to
signed, bro, and we heard that last year.
I know, but I'm just hearing the targets that I would want to hear as a fan, and I don't know if these are fake news or whatever, but the targets that we're hearing and the people we're hearing it from, the likes of David Ornstein, the likes of Fabrizio saying it, it gives me a little bit more confident that we are actually going to try to have the summer that we expect to have, where this past summer it was always the Cescos and the
Let's call it for what it is. Last summer was a failure by everybody.
last
I'm
summer
not here
was
to blame Arteta or the board. Everybody's in this. Everyone failed. We didn't make the team
last summer was
stronger than it
worse than
needed to be.
15, 16.
That was the Czech summer, isn't it?
Yeah, because at least
Nah,
that
not quite
summer,
as bad as that, but as I see why you would say that because there
bro,
that
at least
season
Petr
makes
Cech
me
made a
mad.
big difference. Who did we sign this summer that made a big difference?
But that's where I think this summer is worse, because under the quote unquote context is of we finished 2 points off City. We heard a lot of, remember you said you like to hear the things people are saying. We finished 2 points off City. They were very bullish on the last day against May. You look at that summer, there was no game changer. So I think under the context of us trying to fight, and a bit of what you said earlier, and that us Arsenal fans had to have that conversation that if City ever do fall off, we're the ones to pounce. I think that's, I hear why you'd say that, but I just think maybe recency bias, but that summer was a big L because of what we was trying to go into this year fighting for, man.
You know what? Because Saka and these guys don't get injured, maybe it's a different story. But at the same time, if we would have strengthened more in the summer, maybe they don't get injured. And we
Well,
need to
maybe we're
view
able
it.
to cope with their
And
injuries slightly more.
I hope that is the takeaway from the season. Strengthen more, you have less injuries, more rotation, you can compete more in all competitions. Because we competed, but we're competing with the arm behind our leg, arm behind our back.
I'm
And I hope
blindfolded now.
that is Deluded. I think they've learned from this season, and I hope they have, because it does look like they've learned from the Cedric and Pablo Mari situation in the past, where they don't do stupid signings just for the sake of it. Bodies are not just bodies. At a certain point, they become liabilities, and that's not a bar that I learned. I just literally said that on the
I like that, I'm gonna copy that still. That sounded, yeah, that sounded lit. I like that. I have to pull you up on something though, yeah, and be a bit of a devil's advocate. You mentioned Arsenal fans are lacking patience. Now it's well known, and again, I'm not criticizing you for changing your mind. Everybody's allowed to change their mind. I know in the world we exist in with football, if I think Saka is the best left back in 2015, I can't believe it in 2025. Things can change, right? But you did say last season, Mikel Arteta, you kind of have to deliver, right? You just mentioned Arsenal fans are lacking patience. If it's kind of the gloves are off next season, like you kind of got to deliver, aren't you lacking patience then?
No, because it's getting to a point where we have to look at the project as a whole and be like,
project's done, bro. It's now to need to win shit.
Yeah,
I can't lie to you.
The project as a whole, we have done that. We've fixed the defense. We've somewhat had one of our most stable midfields in, I would say, 2 decades.
I agree.
If we cannot identify and go and get an attacker and go and get ourselves sorted in that attacking phase, and Arteta brings in players and it doesn't
2 years
work,
to do that.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know what? Well, he's now got his attacking players and we need to give them time. Bro, you need to know what you need and how you can embed them into the team, because it's pretty obvious what our issues are. And I'm not going to say, oh, give him another year. At that point, we might need fresh ideas. We might need a different style or a different tactic to go and get over the line, because it's the same message at that
They've
point.
heard that voice for about 5 years now.
The change this season is Edu leaving. The change next season, if everything is the same, it can't be the directors leaving again. It can't be the owner leaving. At that point, it's gonna have to be the manager leaving. So whatever everybody says, next season we're not going in doing the same thing. We've already changed something, and not because of our own decision either. Edu basically chose for us. He said, "I'm out of here." And yeah.
You mentioned saying success as well. I want to ask you about that. What does that mean? Because I get where you go. I think in an ideal world, assuming everybody stays together,
multiple league titles.
Are we going to do that though? Because I don't think that can be done unless you do the City thing. I don't think that could be done. I hear why you'd say that. I'm not necessarily against it, but I do think some people would, not necessarily that you're saying this, but some people would hear that, and some people have that thought. But it's the assumption that when we finally get these missing pieces to go with the positives at this club, we're just going to win all the time. Now, we could have won 3 Premier Leagues in a row, fair enough, but is that an urban myth? Because it's getting competitive now. Sustained success. So a 5-year period, we've got at least 3 to 4 of those Premier League trophies, maybe a champs or domestics.
I'm looking at the age of our back four.
You got any graphs?
I'm looking at our goalkeeper, 27, 25 age gap for the back four and the defense. The midfield, Declan Rice, Odegaard, reasonable age. You look at Saka. As much as we don't rate Martinelli, some people don't rate Martinelli. He's probably
Martinelli slander shall be accepted. He should have the golden.
He might be here. Ethan's quite young. I think going into next season, majority of the team will be around 25, 26 and above, and will be now going into our prime years. This is where you see the best of the best from players. And I do think I wouldn't be surprised if from now going into their 30s, this team, the shell of the team, just goes from strength to strength, and
But
you
they're not
see
going to stay
ourselves.
together that long.
We see ourselves go through the phase of what Liverpool have been doing the last couple of years, or at best what Man City were doing for the last couple of years. But we just need to go and add that final attacking piece to the puzzle, or final a couple attacking pieces to the puzzle to give us more unpredictability, more game changers, because that's what we
Evolve,
lack.
as Arteta
Deluded.
says.
We are everything that a football club wants to be defensively in the midfield, and how we terrorize
I'm not sure
defenders.
about in the midfield yet, but certain tactical aspects, I agree with that.
Look, listen to the guy from Nottingham Forest speaking about us. What's his
Yeah,
name?
no. That's where I agree with you. That's why I said tactically. That's the stuff I've always said. Mikel Arteta, when it comes to, you've obviously got a lot of question marks because I don't think you're amazing at everything. No coaches, but purely a coach in front, you're great at that. The way people speak about us, how you stifle teams, and how difficult it is to play against us, and all of that, and that micromanaging stuff. I like that from Arteta. My thing is just getting over the line, and I also feel indirectly it might not all be his fault because me and you could speak about transfers, but I do think Arteta makes his own issues. I feel it's not easy, but I think the low blocks are like our struggle to consistently try a new approach, let alone break low blocks, is because of how he's setting up. So I hear all of that. That's why I said coaching. All of that stuff I hear. I don't know if the club want to be sustained success, and if they do, I don't know if their success and mine are two very different things. I
Dude,
think
I
they'll be
think
happy
the
to win a Prem or
construction of
two,
our team,
but the rest.
and looking at, I think the construction of our team and
And I
looking
think it's a
around at the
fallacy if
field.
we think for 5 years this team is staying together. Like the actual players we love, I don't think that's the case.
All
That's
right,
just not
fair
how
enough.
it works.
Even if the likes of Saliba leaves, or we end up moving off
And we might
Odegaard,
bring in people of equal better
we
quality as
could we
well.
could always transition this team from what we are right now, a controlling team, to a transition team, because but we need to get rid of the likes of Odegaard. But we'll talk about that another time. My thing is, I think Deluded sustained success for Arsenal, for me, means multiple league titles and continuing to challenge for the league and the Champions League from now until 2035.
Oh, 10-year period.
That I think Arsenal, if we can do something like that and be competitive from now for the next 10 years and continue to evolve our team, we now are getting into a realm where we can pick up multiple league titles and maybe a Champions League. You
Okay, so let's
cannot
strip
think,
that back, yeah. Because you jumped the gun with
and
10
then,
years.
and don't think Arteta's going to be here for that whole period.
Exactly. And that's why I said I don't know if the club, because there's just certain football clubs, regardless, certain things are going to go. I know we want to be good. I don't know if we want to be great. Funny enough, that's one thing I can't accuse Arteta with. It's more how we're going to get about it. But it has to be from the same hymn sheet. You
Let
remember, you
me
got to
say one
remember.
thing about the Cronkies though.
Yeah,
There are other
I don't know
sports.
if they want that because
There
before
are
Pep
other
Guardiola
sports
walked in at
teams.
City,
There are other
they
sports
set up
teams.
things.
Their other sports teams have all been successful recently, and they've been successful based on their know-how and their ability to get stuff done where other people aren't. And
I
hopefully
think
Arsenal can
I
start
think we're
doing
more
that.
likely to see us qualify 10 years in a row from 2025 to 2035 than for 10 of those years, 5 Premier Leagues or whatever. And I'm not necessarily asking that. We're Arsenal Football Club. I mean, of course, everyone would want to do what City done, or anyone that's achieved anything in football that's a treble or invincibles would want to do that every week. I don't know if the club want to do that. Forget
But look
Arteta,
at
because,
Liverpool.
huh?
Look at Liverpool.
They haven't
I
had
mean,
sustained, like the sustained success you're talking about. They haven't had that. They've had some battles and they've won trophies, but sustained success is City
okay,
in this
maybe we
current
have
day and
different
age.
definition of the word.
Because what is it?
What do you define as sustained success? Because I define sustained success as a
It's
team,
your metric. I'm trying to understand what you mean because you said
a team,
2035. So I'm
okay,
going over what you're
a
saying.
team that is competitive, that can continue to challenge for a league title for multiple years onwards.
Well, I mean, if that's the metric, quote unquote, I don't think we've challenged this year, but we've done that for 3 years. I won't be surprised if we do it for 4. So even if we were to say a 10-year period from 2022, 23, you would kind of hit that. Sustained success for me, it goes into not resting on your laurels, which I think we do, not having windows like we had in the summer when there's something to build upon, making sure we can make some money off our academy prospects. We've actually turned a new leaf, I feel, in being a bit more proactive with signing new deals, getting the Sackers and whatnot dealt with. These are the kind of things I think the club would like to win. And I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about
Where
us
do
as a whole.
trophies come
I
in?
don't think it's a minimum requirement. What do you say?
Where do trophies come in?
Trophies are there. They need to be there. I think, don't get it twisted. Within these last 3 periods, nobody can tell me we shouldn't have won an FA Cup. In fact, since Mikel Arteta won his FA Cup, we've done poor in that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have been in the final last year. And sorry, on Sunday, and we definitely should have went out against United. This has been a poor attempt at winning a Premier League title. The Champions League is the dream in it. That's the one where I'll be like, you know what, we ain't really got pedigree in that, but we should be picking up domestic trophies like Klopp was doing, you know, to a degree. We should be doing that. We should be doing that. Trophies are there. We're on a 20+ Premier League drought. And within these last 3 years, as we discussed, within these 3 years, you should have won it, bro. Last year, it should have been there. 2022, 23. All right, I'll cut you a bit of slack. This year, I don't think it's been good enough. Last year, it should have been there. So that's it for me. We've got certain elements already. Don't get it twisted. But sustained success for me is doing a bit what I've seen City doing what I've seen a bit of Madrid doing. And I think that's a fallacy. Why I say it's a fallacy is because it's gone from a top 4 to a top 6. And Newcastle not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. City not going anywhere. Not everyone's going nowhere, and it's getting more competitive. So I don't know how you can do that in the Prem unless you're on what City are on historically so far.
Right. It's a top 8 right now. Safe to say we're eating at the top of that top 8 for the last couple of years.
We're getting some free breadsticks.
All right, we're getting free breadsticks and some crazy sauce.
Yeah.
As for me, Deluded, I'm looking at whoever comes in next season. Say it's Isaac. Who's the other one? The unambitious one is Sesko, right?
Yeah.
So say we get Sesko, and we have Sesko and Havertz rotating as striker position, right? Then left wing. Say we get Semenyo. And do you want 2 or 1?
2 attackers or 2 wingers?
2 wingers or 1?
1 winger, 1 striker. Because if we get 2 wide men, I don't think we're getting a striker.
So say we get Sesko and Nico Williams, right?
I wouldn't look at it like, oh, well, but at least you addressed areas that allegedly the manager wants. 2 positions that I would like. Let's see, we can go there. I'll be cool with that.
Premier League proven player is Bruno G.
We're getting onto that, but go on. Touch on it lightly. Pause.
And then, we also get Zubimendi on top of everything that we just got. So now we've gotten 4 players coming into the team. They can be starters and can also be really good squad players if need to come off the bench for any time period. Then you look at what we have now. In the midfield, we're going to have Odegaard, we're going to have Bruno G, we're going to have Declan Rice, we're going to have Moreno, we're going to have Zubimendi. Did I miss somebody?
I don't think so. I mean, Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly could asterisk. They could be used as midfield.
So we got the 2 new midfielders plus the 3 that are staying. The 2 have already left in Partey and Jorginho. So that midfield is sorted. Then the attack. Jesus is injured, not counting him. Bukayo Saka, he's here. The new signings, Nico Williams, Sesko, Havertz. So the 4 are guaranteed. Martinelli or Trossard, one of them is going to stay, in my opinion. I don't think we sell both of them. So you pick which one. We're going to have 5 solid attackers. And then basically it's going to be the 6th piece for both the midfield and the attack is going to be Miles Lewis-Skelly, or if we start playing Zinchenko in the midfield, or Ethan in the attack.
If Zinchenko's here, I think he's gone in the summer. I actually think him and Trossard are gone because they got a year left.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a weird one. Do you know what it is? I don't want you to forget your point, so I'm just going to say this very quickly. It's a weird one where I look at outgoings because, as you know, we might try sell some. We might not get the asking price we want. Some of these players might not want to leave. Obviously, on paper, things can change. But on paper, Kieran Tierney's gone. Partey's gone, Jorginho's gone. Trossard and Zinchenko from the summer have a year left on their deals. Now, they might stay. They might be squad players. We all know that kind of stuff happens. But I think they're 2 candidates to potentially leave to go with Kivior. But then we're not going to sell all of these guys who we can make a case to go. As you said with Tomiyasu and Jesus, they're injured.
I got a share screen. If you can
go on.
And just
can you share screen on your end, or I need to?
Yeah, I've already shared it on my screen. Just
let me remove it. Before, in fact, I don't want to be disrespectful. Before you carry on, BG, appreciate you, my mod. You said DG/Egal. I know the title is 99.9% gone and Liverpool will win it. However, given the performances this week, do you think they may fall off a bit for the remainder of the season? I think yes, but they're still above everybody else and they're out of the other stuff. Where are you at before you go on?
They don't care when they win the league as long as they win it. That's the truth.
Fair enough. And I think you said it there, man. Right, and it's a case of that's why I said it's what if, because if we was 2 points off Liverpool and they're feeling sorry for themselves like this week, you know what we could do, but it's all ifs and buts and what ifs. But yeah, show us the screen, man. Last time I shared screen, you were showing me we got the most valuable team in that, so I'm keen to see what this one is.
All right, so this is the picture. Say the bottom row stays. You replace the top three with Ethan, Sesko, and Nico Williams. How much better does that look?
It's a lot better than that, than these options.
Okay, so now our attack is a lot better, right? Forget about that. If we replace it with Isco, Isaac, Sane,
Which is the dream, and that would make me go really wow. Like
if we
Sesko, I'm
replace it
prepared
with
to
Isaac
accept,
and
but
Semenyo,
Isaac would tell me you want to win now, which is it's not
yeah,
gonna
if we
happen.
get Isaac, doesn't matter what happens, the window's automatically 8 out of 10. Next, midfield, right? The Partey, Jorginho are gone. You bring in Zubamendi by himself. We've gotten weaker. We cannot do that. We need to
We
go
need
and get
another physical
two.
midfielder.
We need
Can't just have
two.
Zubimendi.
That's where Bruno G and so this is why I don't think we're going to get both Bruno G and Isaac.
I was
I
just about
think we
to
have a
ask you.
better chance of getting Bruno G. The midfield with Bruno G and Zubamendi, you have a better version of what do you call it? You have a better version of Jorginho at his age with Zubamendi, a younger, better version at this moment in time, and then you have a Partey replacement who's not similar to Partey, but can do the 8 and 6 similar to Partey, but not the same type of player. A little bit more of a goal threat and a little bit
The
more
main
of an
thing is
explosibility,
he'd be like Partey. The one thing we need them beyond the obvious is a physical presence. Because I do think if we let Partey go and we only got Zubamendi and Rice, obviously Rice is physical, but he's further forward would be an issue. But yeah, I like the way you're moving with this. Go on.
right? Then the defense. Everyone's talking about uh, players can go without being replaced. I think people forget that Kieran Tierney can go without being replaced. I
Oh, you
generally
agree?
think,
You sure? Because we need
yeah.
maybe not directly replacement, but you sure we don't need another left back or a defensive cover
Hear
this
me out.
summer?
We're gonna have Ben White. We're gonna have Gabriel. We're gonna have Saliba. We're gonna have Kivior maybe. Timber is gonna be there. So we're gonna have these six here, guaranteed. We're gonna have these six, I think, right? I don't think Kivior leaves.
I think
Tomiyasu,
it's 50
he's a myth.
50.
Forget about Tomiyasu. He's a myth. He doesn't exist anymore, right?
Big up
Uh,
Tommy, man.
the guy, he's not gonna be fit until
Till
next
December at
summer.
the very earliest, give or take.
Next winter. We don't know what's going on with him. The two players who could leave without necessarily having to be replaced is Kieran Tierney and Zinchenko. I think you could probably replace them in the aggregate with everything else that we have already. Or
Nah, I
if you
think you need
want to
another.
be safe,
You need another defender, gal. Come
if
on,
you
man.
want to be safe, you can bring in one more defender. But
Because
I don't know
we've
what
seen a couple of these boys pick up injuries as well. Like I
what
agree with
quality
what
are
you're
we going
saying
to be
in
looking at?
premise. Tierney and Zinchenko, they're not really main players like that, but they've actually saved our bacons. And actually, if you assume them two were injured right now, Tomiyasu's obviously injured. It now leaves you with Timber post ACL playing a lot. All it takes is an injury and a half, and we're in issues. I think we need a left back because as much as I like Lewis Skelly, and I think he's locking it down and learning what he's learning, and I want to see him play in midfield. And I said earlier, I think Calafiori needs to go on a defensive crash course. I think if there's one injury or suspension like we've seen this season, we're in issues. I do think we need, ideally, I would have liked a more right-sided defender. I think what would help is us finding a Timber Tomiyasu versatile guy, but we definitely need a defensive adjustment or two. Because
Okay.
Kivio might leave. I don't think he will, but he's one that might have an offer. He might say, you know what, Arsenal, it's a sweet gig, but I want to play regular football, which, let's have it right, you're not going to get at this club. So I think you're downplaying what we need to do defensively, quote unquote, bro. I can't lie.
Ideally, how many defenders would you like? Because I'm saying if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Of
7.
that list, the only ones I'm trying to count in how I'm trying to move would be Gabriel, Timber. Wait, you're putting me off with the thingies. Let's go. Let's start with it's left to the right for me, innit? So Ben White, Gabriel, Timber, Saliba, Lewis Kelly, Calafiori. But then they're the ones. Obviously, Tomiyasu's my guy, but he's injured. These guys pick up knocks. Calafiori picks up knocks. I've seen Lewis Skelly pick up a knock. I do think you need another defensive
So are
option.
you saying all four, get them out of here? Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Tierney, Kivior. In your mind, you're
Tierney's
saying,
gone. Tierney will always have a place in my team, but at the end of the day, you're going back to Celtic, so it's a non-factor
what
now.
about Kivior?
Tomiyasu, pardon?
Kivior.
Kivio, I'm open to offers. If you want to
AC
stay
Milan
and play
say 25 mil. You taking it?
25, 30 mil, you can go. I'm on him staying. If he wants to be a squad player doing what he's doing right now, that's cool. We've got a body. I just wonder how long does he want to be like that, which is why I said, you know what, he might think I've got a sweet gig, but he's not going to get to whatever level he can be with not playing on a regular
How
basis. You're
much are
not
you
getting that.
willing to spend now? I'm sorry, I'm a terrible communicator today. I'm cutting you off
Nice,
too much.
calm.
How much would you want to spend to replace all those guys with one position, with one player, or
It's
how
techie,
you
man,
feel?
because you know what, yeah. I always flirt with this. Like sometimes I say I
Mark
want to
Guehi,
left back.
what we saying?
Wait, pull it back on screen. Pull it back on the screen.
Oh, my bad, my bad. Mark Guehi, what we saying?
Nah, not the only way I'd go for a Gurhey is nothing to do with him, but it's like if Saliba makes it evidently clear moving on, I'd say you got to find anything from 20 to 40 million. If you can find a Tomiyasu kind of one, a Timber kind of one, that would be ideal. Calafiori cost a lot. I do think you're looking at anything from 20 to 40 million for a verse. Ideally, as I said, it'd be a versatile defender, which is a bit. I keep saying Tomiyasu and Tini because they can play across the back line. I would
Are
like
you
that.
looking for a
At a push, I'd
starter,
rather a left
or
one. Pardon me?
are you looking for a starter?
It depends, man, because I don't think Tomiyasu is a starter necessarily, but in his form, if he gets a run of games, he could be a starter. Many people would say Ben White might not be a starter. I think we need to go back to what Arteta said in terms of starters and impactors. If you want to be a team that can compete in 4 trophies, I think that's the realm we've got to go to. Naturally, I'd want someone that can push. I'm comfortable with Calafiori and MLS, but then I also feel, you know what, MLS, he's in the honeymoon stage. He's going to make mistakes. He's obviously a marked man. Calafiori picks up injuries and is a bit of a wild card. Then you're looking at currently maybe moving Timber over there, which he's in a sweet spot on the right. I mean, somebody mentioned it here. Hato would be perfect. Can play centre half, can play left back. We just need to keep buying players from Ajax, you know, not like Ten
That's gonna
Hag.
cost 70 mil plus, bro.
And this is where the issues come from. Like that's why I said his profile. I don't know, but anything from twerky, watching too much madness. 20 million to 40 odd million would be the base kind of salary. But then I think you're right, because then if you're talking about, that's why I said if you could do the 20 thing and it's a different kind of profile, great. But if we're talking 50 plus, I can't see us doing that when priorities, as you rightly said, are, or big money investments are up front, are in centre mid, and are on the left hand side. I mean, it seems like Mikel Arteta wants that Garcia lad as well. So that could be anything from 20 to 30. Maybe we really have to come true for once on our war chest comments, man. And I don't, as I said at the start, I don't expect us to do all of this, and like in terms of incomings and outgoings in a matter of weeks in the summer. But there needs to be significant business. Significant business for me would be, all right, you got me a striker, you got me a winger, you got me a centre mid. I wouldn't say I'm not happy, but I'm not happy. I'm a bit, what's going on defensively, but I can maneuver with this. But I think there's a lot to do, man. I think and thank the Lord, really, that Lewis Skelly's come through to a degree. You have to big up the fact that for whatever circumstances,